Hello and welcome back to the Listening to Your Gut podcast. We've got a friend of mine that I was just telling her the other day, why haven't we recorded a podcast episode together? So we've got my girl, Jess Clerke, here today. We are going to talk about all things confidence related because Jess is an incredible woman that supports women with all of that and more. She is a confidence coach. She has retreats that help women to build that confidence and really dive into their self-worth and bringing themselves to life. She's got her own podcast called the Selfish Confidence Podcast. She's just rocking it on every friggin' level. We're going to talk about something super cool at the end of this episode today that she has gotten the honor to do, and I'm so freaking excited for her. But welcome, Jess, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, woo, woo, woo. I can't believe that we're finally doing this. It's been a long time coming, and I think the first time we met really was at the Empower Her Live event last year, which we'll talk about towards the end of this episode because there's something really cool that Jess gets to do here in a couple months. But I had heard of you, Jess, before then, before the Empower Her Live, and I remember distinctly coming up to you that last day, and I was like, man, why is this right at the end when we're getting ready to leave, why am I coming up and finally having the guts to talk to you? But that was like the beginning of this awesome friendship that I'm just so blessed to be connected to you and to know you. You're just this all around genuine, incredible woman. So I just want to say that to you because I freaking
Thank
love
you.
you.
I
Yeah.
love you too. I was so glad that you came over. I remember you came over at the end and you were on my list of people who I wanted to talk to. I was like, I really want to talk to Kelly. Like we have mutual connections. It's
Yeah.
time. Like we have to
Yes.
talk. But I was like buzzing, like there's just so many energies in the room. There's so much going on. And I was just like almost at that overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, like there's so many cool people in this freaking room. And I know someone listens, like, you're a confidence coach, just like get over yourself. But I was just like almost paralyzed by how many cool people were in this room that I was like, okay, so when you came over, I'm like, Kelly, I'm so glad you did because I've been wanting to talk to you. But there was just so much going on. And I was like, okay, but it has started this beautiful friendship where we got to connect after that. But this year we'll be together. We'll actually talk probably like the first day, not
Yes.
the last minute on the last day.
Exactly. Yes, I know. I'm making a priority to do that because I was like, geez, we could have had hours of conversation if there would have been time. But I agree. Yeah, so much good stuff going on, but so much also to process too, for sure. But Jess, I have so many. I told you I had this download of so many questions that I wanted to ask you because this topic is of confidence is such a needed one. Like, I'm so glad you have your podcast and are sharing the things that you share on there because one, it's so relatable, but two, it's a topic that I think, for lack of another way to describe it, we're not confident to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I would love for you just to share with the audience, when did you realize it was truly time for you to stand in your own and prioritize showing up as all of you? Because I know that your podcast arose out of this, and I know that there was a time when you felt way less confident than you feel now. But all that to say, I know, like all of us, we've never made it in terms of being at the highest confidence level. I know you're continuing to evolve in that journey, and so am I, and so are we all. But like, tell us if you could, when was that pivotal moment where you realized, like, gosh, just let me be me and not worry about what other people are thinking. Let me just show myself to the world in the way that I want to.
Oh, good question. It's always interesting because on my own podcast, I'm like, oh, these people already know this. I don't have to talk about this. And then I come up and I already feel the emotions coming. I'm like, oh crap. Like I got to get personal. Like I got to get real here. Okay. There's actually two really big moments that made me realize that it was time for me to be myself.
Mhm.
And so a big one was I lived in Barbados with my husband for a year and a bit. We moved there full time in the pandemic. He got offered a job there. He was working there starting November 2019. And I was supposed to have this really cool life, the one where I could like fly back and forth and have business and work on planes and do all that cool life stuff. And pandemic happened. So that didn't pan out the way that we had planned. And with that, we decided, okay, we really want to finish this project. It's just a year. Let's move our essentially our whole life down there. We packed up our cats. We moved to Barbados and lived there fully. And at first, it was interesting and it was fun and it was something kind of exciting to share about on social media because at that point I had a brand online and I was, sharing little bits of my life. But it started to get dark as the pandemic got deeper and as life got crazier and as I got more isolated and my anxiety heightened and there was just so much fear around and it just every day chipped away at who I was, like not in a good way, in a bad way. And I just decided to hide it all and not let anyone know that I was going through the darkest season of my life. But it was a lot of crying on the kitchen floor and a lot of just trying to get to that endpoint of moving back to Canada. And I thought, oh, yeah, like it's okay. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to Canada and everything's going to be great. And my whole life is going to go back. I'll have my car again. I'll have my money again. I'll have, my life again and my freedom again. Like I have always been quite an independent person. I had to rely on my husband for like everything, like even just to go to the grocery store. I didn't have a license down there. I didn't have a car. They crazy. They drive on the other side of the road and everything. I was like, I'm not doing it. So we just like I really had to ask him for everything. So I was like, you know what? When I get back to Canada, independent Jess is coming back. Don't you worry about it. And I'll start, continuing to build on my business. But when I was in Barbados, I had this like itch in my belly. It's like, I heard this like whisper, like, start a podcast and it's going to be about confidence and this is going to be the name. And I was like, okay, joke's on you. Like, I'm never going to have a podcast. That's no, not a chance. And I got home and I realized that things weren't going back to normal or whatever that quote unquote normal was. And I think for all of us after the pandemic, we knew there was no such thing as normal again after that. And I just kept thinking like, oh, well, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And with every day being home that went by, I started to realize that nothing was going to change unless I started to do something about it. So I started this project called the Year of Confidence and I was going to start it September 1st, but then, procrastination happened. And then I was like, well, I'll wait till October 1st. Cause for some reason it had to be on the 1st, how crazy we are with that stuff. So I waited October 1st, it started. And in that month, I decided to launch a podcast talking all about my confidence and finding myself through this process and bringing people along for the ride, even though I had like zero confidence at this point. Like I'm talking like zero. I didn't know what, I wanted to do for work anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do and who I was. Like I was just figuring it out from the start. And I was like, this will be the tell all tale. That's the first time anyone knew that my life in Barbados sucked. Nobody knew really before that. And everyone thought that it was all beautiful. And so through this process of sharing it and bringing it along, I got to learn so many other people's stories and I got to learn from other business owners. And I decided to pivot my business away from what I was doing into the world of confidence and helping women to find themselves through this process, which is really freaking cool to start to do. And then it was probably 6 months into podcasting, I did another program with a mentor of mine and she suggested, she suggested that I really lean into my truth. And that truth being that I didn't want children. And I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I can't say that to people. Like, people are going to have so many questions. People are going to judge me and da, 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 right? And she's like, Jess, if I didn't want kids, I'd be leaning into that. And I really think you should be building your podcast around unconventional lives and helping people have a safe space to be themselves. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I remember putting that podcast out there that I didn't want kids. And I was so afraid of what people were going to say. And I had a few questions like, what's unconventional? Like, what does that even mean? But other than that, it's been smooth sailing. I got to truly be myself. And it's been really nice to just be me. So first, that first piece being coming home from Barbados was when I knew I needed to change. And then that second piece of like learning I didn't want kids and being proud about that and putting it out into the world. And those are kind of like the two big moments of me starting to learn more about myself and be real in the world, which is scary.
Oh gosh, Jess. So like so many things running through my mind. One of which is that holy crap, like there's more. You and I knew we had several things in common, but there's there's so many parallels to you and I, which I think is again why so many of us connect, because when we really open up the way that you're opening up to us, and here on this podcast, but the way that you do it on your podcast as well, and just naturally on social media, it shows us that, you know, we're a lot more alike than we think we are, you know? And I think that's, you know, I commend you for being confident enough to stand in your own and share with women and men that you don't want to have kids, because hello, I also am part of that club. And I also put out a podcast episode way back when, I think it was episode 9 or 10. I should know that. But it's one of those two. And yeah, that was for me. That was a really, I was same like with you. I was like, well, this could go one or two ways. People could be like, what the hell? Or they could, you know, be like, wow, I'm glad that you know, said that, because either I didn't know that about you, or, hey, me too. Right. And there were a lot of people that reached out, as I'm sure you, to me, that said, I've never felt confident to say that. You know, like, I also feel the same way you do. And now I know I have someone to confide in, you know, about that type of thing. So, not to completely pivot that conversation, but I just wanted to share that, because I think that is huge. It's hard, you know, coming from your experience. I know you can feel this, but as well as mine. Yeah, there was a lot of times where I felt like I'm wrong for making that choice, or what is my family going to think of me, or are my friends not going to want to hang out with me anymore, or, you know, what is that going to look like? Are they going to isolate me? None of those things, thankfully, have been true. You know, I think that's a testament to the power of friendship and family, and people really understanding, you know, who you are at the core, and honoring and respecting your decisions, no matter what they are. But yeah, I just, that's huge, Jess, is, you know, you going away to Barbados, which would seem like this, like you said, ideal dream life, and really feeling like that was the one of those core moments in your life where you're like, this is things are not the way that I want them to be. Like, on the outside it looks great, but inside I'm crumbling. Inside I'm not me, you know. That's huge. So thank you for sharing that, because I knew some of that stuff, but like not to the extent. And I just think so many women, if they don't already know you, are going to connect on such a deep level from just what you shared right there. So again, thank you for sharing
Of
that.
course. It's interesting too with the kid thing, because we think that the world either isn't going to get it because majority do have children, or we think that people are going to judge us. But it's like, me saying I don't want kids isn't like me saying I killed my uncle. Like, it's like, it's really not that big of a deal. But for
Right.
some reason, like, I think it's that societal pressure, but like, it was so scary. It was almost like coming out and you're like, I don't
Yes.
want kids. Like, and I think my fear around it was that people are going to say, oh, you're going to change your mind. And then if I do change my mind, then they're like, I told you so, right? We hate hearing that. But I just like, I want it to be the story that if that were to happen, if we did change our mind, let's say something happens, I still like every day, I'm like, you're good, right, Glenn? And he's like, I'm good. And then we're like, okay, cool. But Glenn's my husband.
Yep.
but, um, but it's like that, yeah, that fear of if I change my mind. But if I do, I want someone to see that someone changed their mind and it be okay. Will it gut me a little? Yeah, because I hate being told that someone else was right. But like that was the thing that really held me back from speaking that truth, because I was more afraid of if I changed my mind, the judgment that comes with that too, right?
I
Who's
hear you.
gonna care, right? It's my life.
Right. Well, and I think too, again, it comes back to, we a lot of times, and I have to remind myself of this, but we a lot of times think that there is so much more of a spotlight on us than there actually is, right? Really, we're shining the spotlight on ourselves. And most people, I mean, you know, depending on who it is, but I feel like most people, it's like, oh, you said that? Okay, great, and move on. Nobody's dwelling on it like we are, right? And we
Yeah.
just put this big old spotlight on ourselves because we feel this internal pressure that we've created, to feel like we're supposed to feel a certain way, you know?
100%. Yep. It's
So
all on us. That's what confidence is, right? Figuring out yourself and then just telling people what you want them to know.
Exactly. So along that same line, what has made it easier for you to show up as you? I mean, of course, the podcast, I would imagine, right? Because this is really kind of what allowed you to, in your words, like come out and share yourself, right? And I almost feel like for me too, a podcast is like a verbal diary of
Yeah.
sorts, right? So, I mean, share with us what has helped you to make that easier for you to show up, whether it be the podcast and something else, or maybe just the podcast, or whatever that may be.
I think the podcast is one for sure because you put yourself out there over and over again and people start to learn stuff about you and you're like, man, like you know more about me than I know about myself sometimes. And it has helped me to learn how to use my voice more, which is really cool because I was always kind of like a shy and reserved person, which not everyone believes, but like I was shy, okay? I still am. Hence why Kelly had to come at the last freaking minute of that event because I was like shy, scared to death in a corner of how many people were in this room, and it's introvert vibes, okay? And but the big thing for me that came with the podcast is that program, or not program, this year of confidence project that I had. And so I started again October 1st, and I had daily tasks that I wanted to do, like move my body in a way that felt good, and got rid of a lot of the things that I was numbing with, like alcohol and social media. I didn't get rid of social media, but I really limited my time. Even sometimes junk food, like every month I would have a different theme of what I wanted to focus on for the whole year. And these little projects every single month help me to get to know myself more and help me to become more confident. And I was sharing on social media some of these things that I was doing, but they were really, really, really simple things. Like none of it was like, go jump off a cliff. Like I didn't like what's that book that's like 100 days of brave, and every day she did something like that was brave for her. And some of them were really big. None of mine were that big. Some of
Yeah.
them could have been just like talk about a certain topic on my podcast, or, go out to a coffee shop with a friend, or like just things out of my comfort zone that were starting to bring myself back. And at this point in Canada, we were still deeply in the pandemic. So it was very limited on what we could do. But it really helped me to just know that there was something more important underlying. And it wasn't just that I didn't have confidence. It was that I didn't know myself. So I just started to get to know myself a little bit more every single day, read the right books and focus on, just little practices. And I can't even give you a list of what the practices are because they're really different for everyone. Because what's going to bring you confidence, Kelly, is going to be different than what brought me confidence. I could be like, yeah, get rid of all your candy and you'll have confidence. So that actually would probably hurt my confidence a lot. I really like candy. So it would be so different for each and every one of us because we're so different and unique.
I love that. I love that. Yes, and I do know that you love candy because you recently said on one of your confidence
Love it.
corners in on a Monday, you said something about like, if I could have a pool of candy in my basement, like I would be set. And I'm like,
It'd be the dream.
I
That's the
love
dream.
that. I love that.
I do try to limit my sugar a little bit because I know it's not the best for my gut health, but
You know,
I like to have a good balance.
you could have a pool of a candy in your basement and just in moderation. We have
Yeah.
stuff. There you go.
Yeah, I'll drink water too.
There you go. There you go.
It's
You're good.
fine.
Flushes it all out. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, okay, another question that I would love for us to talk about is just in terms of your mindset. How has your mindset shifted from, that time in Barbados to now, right? Like, of course,
Yeah.
you felt like you were in this deep, dark kind of like pit, so to speak, back then. And not to say that we don't have days where we feel like that from time to time, right? But you clearly have made it out of that confused kind of scary state, if you will, to now one of much more confidence in who you are, but also what you stand for, and just again, more about yourself from having done this work for yourself. So what have been some like mindset shifts that you like, maybe in looking back you think, wow, look how far I've come, like look at how I operate now as opposed to a couple years ago?
Oh, good question. Kelly told me she had questions that she thought of, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to talk on myself. But that's the whole point. So I'm just gonna lean into it. But the thing is, okay, that this one's a hard question because oftentimes I'll still look, sometimes like I'll look in the mirror and I'll still see that person from back there. Like that person from that was a while ago. We moved back home 2 years ago, like in a couple of days was when I moved home. That's not a lot of time. So it's not a huge pivot that I can be like, my mindset is totally different. But from the outside, I think that it is, right? Because you would see me as a totally different version than that person because I never let anyone see that version of me. And so I think for me, the big piece was just focusing on my mindset and what I wanted, getting everything out, using my voice, journaling, getting everything out and seeking the help that I needed. So, starting therapy and doing different courses and doing things that for me really helped. A lot of prayer, a lot of spending time with myself, meditation has been huge, and just having that mindset shift. But a lot of the times, yeah, I'll still look in the mirror and I'll be like, I'll just see that version. I don't see always a new evolved mindset or an evolved person, but I know I know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's just taken like daily confidence dips into myself. Like I can look over here of all my books, like spending time reading has been huge and spending time slowing down. I think that's the big one too, where before I thought I had to hustle until I died. Like the only way I could see success was to hustle, and learning that that's just not how I work has been really helpful too. So slowing down and reading a book or going to the beach and doing these little things has helped my mindset. And I know that it's different. But like just a few minutes ago, I announced that I sold out my fall retreat and I went out to Glenn, my husband, who's playing video games on the couch because it's a holiday here today. And he just like looked at me. He's like, this is so crazy. And I'm like, I know this is so crazy. So we're at this point where we're like kind of in that middle phase, which like is better. My mindset is obviously better than before, but we're in this like phase of just like disbelief, like what the fudgesticles is happening? And I think that's where I still am lacking not confidence in myself, but lacking confidence in what is actually happening. And so my mindset feels kind of stuck in that. So I can't sit here and be like, my mindset is so much better. It's just kind of like in disbelief of what's happening because I truly have put my head down and just worked since that day I launched the podcast. But I can't believe it's coming to fruition now. So I really do need to step into, you know how they say like you can believe anything or anything can happen if you just believe. And it's like, okay, but what if I'm not sure if I can believe yet? Like it's big. So I don't know. Mindset is such a hard one.
But I love that too. What I'm hearing is like you're processing, right?
And
So
I am in like that process mode, you know, like like on your computer where it's like loading and it's doing a little circle thing. Yeah, that is my brain and my mindset right now. It's like, what the heck is happening?
but to that point, that is, I mean, that does show the mindset shift because I would imagine that during that time previously, your mind wasn't able to do that, right? It was stuck in this
No.
funk of like almost maybe, analysis paralysis or like just kind of the fight, flight, or freeze.
Which interesting that you say that too, because it was very much like when I was down there, it was a whole lot of numbing. Put the TV on, put like never any silence, just
Yeah,
numb all the time.
yeah.
And now I am actually processing feelings and processing emotions. Like, even though right now it's like, what is happening? We don't know, but we're figuring it out, or just like even just feeling it. Whereas before, I would have put the TV on 24/7. Like, I wanted to numb, I wanted to be numb when I lived in Barbados, which is kind of sad now I think about it because it is a beautiful island, but like I didn't want to feel anymore.
I have a question that just came out of thin air. So please entertain me for a moment. But would you would you ever consider going back there? Or do you feel at this point it would cause like a trauma reaction or a trauma response? Like, was it that scarring, or would it be that scarring to go back? Or do you feel like going there to like prove to yourself, hey, look at me now? Like, hello, here
Do you see the big
I am.
smile on my face?
Yeah.
It's because we are going back.
You are going.
We're we are going back. So we're going back next April.
Okay.
And Glenn and I are going for a week to see friends that we had met down there, to, to see our life down there and go to some of our favorite places. And then I'm doing a Barbados retreat. So we're going back
Uh,
with a group of women who are coming to explore the island with us. And I've had that question before. People are like, why Barbados? Like, why? I thought you hated it there. Like, why would you go back? But there's actually a lot of beautiful things about the island. And I think that going back is just gonna, I don't know, accentuate the greatness that there was there, because I was so blinded by the darkness that there were good moments, but they were just, I don't know, really blurry in the dark things that were happening. But like, we have so many favorite things that we're gonna go do, like swimming with the turtles, which we love. Like, that was such a great memory for us. Like, my husband, our happy place is on this particular beach in Barbados where we'd sit in our beach chairs and hang out and just relax, because of, he worked 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and I'm not even exaggerating on that, for a year. And if we got a moment to go somewhere, we were gonna go sit on the beach. And there's just like, there is good memories. We got our dog there. Like, it's just, there are beautiful things that happened through not only the pandemic there, but we lived through a volcanic eruption. We lived through a hurricane. Like, it had been like 60 years since the last time this volcano erupted. I'm like, cool, cool, cool. And then also, they hadn't had a hurricane in like 50 years. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. So like, all of these things that just like kept happening over and over again, like a big dengue fever outbreak. And we're just like, cool, cool. It was like, just like thing after thing. It was more than just the pandemic. So I think our focus was on that while we were there. So we didn't get to always highlight these beautiful things. So we are going back, and I can't freaking wait. Like, Glenn and I have been talking like, oh, I can't wait to go here and I can't wait to go there. Like, there were really great memories in a year of being there. So we are going back, and I'm so excited.
I can't wait for that, to just see that experience for you and how that unfolds, and just like really, giving you such incredible memories this time that you'll be able to cherish and carry with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be good.
I love that. Okay. So, you also talk about celebrating yourself too, which I think is really important. And, for me, totally transparent, that is hard for me to do oftentimes. I typically will wait until it's way too late to celebrate something, and I'm like, geez, why didn't we celebrate the little, milestones along the way? But I see the power in it. I know that it's beneficial to do that. So why, tell the listeners, why is it important for you to celebrate yourself, and how do you do that?
Such a good question, Kelly. I really struggle with this too. I really struggle with it. And I can sit down with my clients and be like, this is a great celebration plan. And you gotta remember to stop and celebrate yourself. And then meanwhile, I'll turn around and I'll just be like, oh, check the box off the list and I'll move on. Right. So it's interesting because, yeah, we tell other people to do things and we're not always great at it ourselves. I do really struggle with it. And you asking this question today is a great reminder for me to do something to celebrate myself. And that doesn't have to be big things, right? Like, it can be something simple as, I had a good day at work. I'm going to celebrate that, and finding for you what a good celebration is. So I think a lot of the time we think, okay, well, I'm going to get a bottle of wine, or I'm going to get these snacks, or for me, a basement filled with candy, like, great. But like, will that actually fuel you? Will that actually fill your soul up? Will you actually take that as a celebration? Like, what is actually a celebration for you? And I've learned in myself over the years, like, even just like stopping and taking the day off is a celebration. Like, you've been working a lot lately. Like, stop, do something for you. Going out to the beach this morning, we went out because it's been raining here. It's like freaking Noah's Ark over here.
Same, same.
And you too? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Brutal. So I just like wanted to get out. We had like an hour of no rain. It's like, we got to get to the beach, and like stopping and having a different life for a few minutes, and getting out for the beach when the world thinks you should be working, right? Or society tells you like it's Monday morning, you can't go to the beach. And so just doing things your way is a celebration. So do I think sometimes celebrations can be a cake? Hell yeah. If you want a cake, you go, girl, go get yourself a cake. But sometimes celebrations can be, a new outfit, or, stopping and booking a trip, or, taking a break at work, or whatever it is for you. But it's so important that you know what your celebration is, and to do that. So Again, for me, that can be going to the beach, that can be taking time off, that can be closing my laptop. A lot of them are work related. It's actually taking a break is a big celebration for me. But also candy, often candy. Uh, and so, yeah, if you're looking to celebrate yourself and you're like, well, I don't know how, ask yourself if it was my birthday and my best friend was planning my day, what would I want to do? And like, I can ask for anything. Like, we could go donkey riding, like, whatever it is that you want. What would be your ultimate birthday? And then pick pieces from that day and try to implement them more throughout weekly, monthly, whatever works best for you. But like, really knowing yourself and what a celebration is like the best thing you can do.
I
And
love
then celebrate everything, right? Like everything. Like celebrate getting through a rainy Monday, another rainy day, right? Like if we keep putting off celebration until only the big things, then like what a waste of time. Like really, do you only want to eat birthday cake on your birthday? Like, oh, come on. Like we want it all the time. And so really leaning into that and just celebrating little things.
I love that. And
What are you going to celebrate, Kelly?
good Lord, I love that. Yeah, I was just thinking about that too for myself. What am I going to celebrate today? You know what? I'm going to celebrate that because it is summer break for me. I can take a nap whenever I want. And you know what? I
Yeah.
took a nap earlier today. And might I take another one? I might celebrate by taking another one this
I
afternoon.
love that. Right, because everyone always thinks that our celebrations have to be like, yeah, cake or a nice dinner out or get a
Right.
bottle of wine. But like, why can't your celebration be taking a nap? Like, I think that's a great celebration. Or like a little afternoon delight. Like, that's a great celebration.
Go. I love it. And I love the visual you gave us, or like the thought-provoking question of like, if your best friend was going to take you out and you got to do whatever you wanted for your birthday, what would you do? I think sometimes we get caught up and stuck of like you said, what do I do? Right. But if you have like an example or a scenario, if you will, of what that could be, and then that prompts you to think of things, I think that for some who can get stuck, I think that's a great way to get unstuck, if you will.
Yeah. And if you struggle with that, let's flip it the other way. So if you struggle with thinking, like, what would I want to do? Okay. Now, sometimes as women, we really struggle with focusing on celebrating ourselves. So what if we were to flip it around and be like, okay, it's Kelly's birthday. What would I want to plan for Kelly's birthday? And then have a plan come out from that. Because sometimes we can flip it the other way and think of it as someone else. So my BFF, if it was her birthday, what would I plan for her? Okay, this is how I would plan out her birthday. Because sometimes it's really hard for us to be like, well, it's my birthday. Here's what I want to do. Because oftentimes we're just like, don't worry about it. It's just my day. Like, don't even, it's okay. We'll do some, like, we'll do something for our birthday. Like, okay, well, what would you do for your best friend's birthday? And look at that and look how you would plan that out and see if there's components of that day that would also work really well for your birthday. And then just kind of like look at it both sides because I know as women, we struggle with this one.
Yeah, it is very, very hard. I think too, being people pleasers, right? Hello,
Mm,
I am also a recovering people pleaser.
yeah.
So like that also makes it hard too, because you're like, to your point, oh no, I'm good. We don't need to do anything. I'm fine. Like
Yeah.
don't worry about me type thing. Like I'm almost like conditioned or was conditioned to say that, just because I always was putting everybody else before my own needs. So yeah, I love that. I love both ways to flip that script and make it easier for you to kind of think about what would that look like for me and
Mm.
what can I do right now. That's doesn't have to be the cake unless you want it, or you know go into some fancy restaurant or whatever. Could be the nap, ladies. It could be the nap.
I know. I kind of want cake and a nap now.
There you go. You should do both after
I
selling
think
out
I'm going
that.
to.
Yeah, there you go. After
Yeah.
selling out, I mean, wow. Yeah. Filled up all
Crazy.
the spots, of course. I think both of those are, are warranted right now, for sure. I love it. All right. So you are also, I alluded to this earlier, you also are going to be one of the panelists for the Good to Great panel that will be speaking at the Empower Her Live event this coming September, which is just a few short months away. Holy crap, 2 months. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like from the time that we're recording this is just about 2-ish months away, which is nuts. But first of all, congratulations again for being one of the 5 panelists. And then secondly, like I'm sure you've had so many thoughts and maybe even like, pinch me moments of like, I'm actually doing this, but what are you looking forward to most, having been given this experience, like having been given this honor, this privilege to speak to hundreds, but then thousands of women who are going to inevitably be connected to you through this event?
Whoa, Kelly, okay.
No pressure.
I'm like over here just laughing because I think that's how I'm processing the emotions of it all. And wild. Absolutely wild. And thank you so much. How I don't know, Kelly. What a big question. I really have always knew that I was going to speak on stages, and it's something that I've always wanted. And it's fun for me. I know some people are like poop their pants when they do it, but like it's kind of fun. And it's the rush that I want. Like I'm not going skydiving, but I kind of like the rush of standing on a stage with a microphone. So, um yeah. Can you repeat the question? I'm just in utter disbelief. So being yeah,
Yeah.
give it to me again, Kelly.
Yeah, no, what are you most looking forward to out of this
Oh,
experience?
yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm really looking forward to experiencing it and sitting from that side, because last year we went and sat from the other side, and although it'll only be a few minutes, like it's not come up there talking for like an hour or anything, but it'd be really cool, I think, for me to see the audience and to have those eyes on me, because I really struggle with the attention and I really struggle with being seen. And I know that's a big thing for those who are into human design. I'm a projector, Kelly's a projector, and the big theme with that is being seen and being able to see others. And recently when I went to an event I was speaking at in January, I just kept repeating in my head over and over and like, just allow yourself to be seen, Jess. It's okay to be seen. Like you're safe. And I'm going to be doing that the same in this, and just experiencing that it's okay for me to take up space and it's okay for me to be seen, because that's one that I still really struggle with, even though I, do this all the time and we talk on microphones all the time. I'm very uncomfortable with people coming up and being like, you did such a great job, or like, oh wow, I really connected with your story. But that's the whole freaking point. Like we want people to be connected with us, right? So I'm excited to let myself feel that and let myself be seen, even if it's really uncomfortable for me.
Well, and just like to exercise that confidence muscle too, right?
Right. Yeah.
What what uh what better way than to
Mhm.
be on this platform, this stage, to do that, right? I mean, of course you've already done speaking engagements, but like this is a panel where you're going to be with other women, and then just like you said, I mean, just allowing yourself to be seen and heard. Um,
Mhm. 'Cause it's
because
like this too, like I said, it's so uncomfortable for me to even come on here and talk about my personal story. Like I can motivate for days. So even speaking on a stage that's like motivational, sweet, no problem. But this is a panel that we're going to be talking about our story, and like that is a muscle that I need to exercise.
you got this. You got it. I like I said, I cannot wait. I'm super pumped for you to be up there and to just show everyone who you are, the incredible Jess that so many of us are already blessed to know, but that so many more are about to just be blown away by who you are, and just the authenticness that comes out of just every word that you vocalize is truly, I mean, it's truly a privilege, like for me to be sitting here right now and having this conversation with you, because I mean, there was a time before you and I chatted, at that event, I was like, she doesn't want to talk to me. Like, truthfully, I was like,
And I thought the same about you, like opposite.
want to talk to
Kelly
me.
was too busy for me.
She doesn't want to talk to me. And two, she doesn't even know me.
And I did want both of those things. So this is your reminder to those listening, like, don't listen to that stupid voice in your head that's telling you that stuff because, like, I was thinking the exact same stuff about Kelly. Like, Kelly's too busy. She doesn't want to talk to me. Oh, I can't go bug her. No, just do it. Come
I know,
on.
I just had, it's like, that, it's like thinking about like going up and like asking someone out. That like that's what it felt like. I was like,
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna go up to Jess. She might say, "Get the F away from me," or this could go real bad, but we're just gonna try. We're just gonna attempt, because if you don't attempt, you don't know what the outcome will have ever been. So
Yes, I remember that Sunday too because we were supposed to do breath work that morning, and I was collectively feeling the emotions of the room, and I was just, like, physically buzzing, and Sarah Brackman came over to me. She's a breathwork facilitator, and she's like, "Jess, are you okay? Like, I think you need to breathe, like, you need to chill," like, and I was just, like, so worked up that in a good way, I think, I don't know. But, like, when you came over talking to me at that point, like, we had released it. That was, like, done. But I think if you had come up that morning, oh, man, I was buzzing with some energy before we did that breath work. I don't know. I anticipating what was gonna come. I was like, "Oh, man, I
yeah,
feel a lot of emotions."
it all worked out in the way that it was supposed
It
to.
was
It
supposed to. Yeah.
all happened the way that everything was, like I like to say. But okay, so as we start to wrap up our conversation, I do have one more question for you that I feel like I already can feel you saying like, "What the hell? I'm supposed to answer this?" But I
Great.
just feel really compelled to ask you this one too. When you look back at a prior version of yourself and now, and you compare the two, what are you most proud of with this new version of confident Jess? And again, we talked about this. We are always evolving and building that confidence, but the current confident Jess, what are you so proud of that she's done?
Oh, that's a great question. And even as you said it, I got emotional because we don't stop and think about this about ourselves very often. And the first thing that popped into my head was just like, I'm proud to be me. I'm proud to be living in this world as myself. And for so many years, I didn't do that. Let society tell me what I should do and, let what I thought I should do or my parents thought I should do, kind of dictate things. And for the first time, I'm really truly myself. And I think that's what I'm the most proud of. And yeah, it actually came up in a breathwork session not that long ago, and we were going through things that we were telling ourselves, and I just kept saying like, "I'm so proud of you." And like, period, that was it. I was like, "So proud of you because you're you." And I don't often stop and say that to myself. I work really hard and I kind of forget like the celebration. I forget to be proud. But yeah, just not even just. I'm proud that I am myself. My gummy bear necklace and my basement filled with candy, like, I'm just me, and that's so cool. And the
Uh,
fact that I could build a business, like, based on who I am is, like, I still think is so cool. It's never been about, selling a product or selling something. It's just like, I get to be me. That's cool.
you're not trying to fit a mold.
Yeah.
You are the mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ever-changing mold of
Yeah.
I don't know, I think that's just cool
I love
because
that.
I know not a lot of people can say that too, right? So,
Yeah. I
freaking
just
cool.
I got a little teary-eyed and a
I
little
loved it. Thanks for being
while you
emotional with
were,
me.
yeah, while you were saying that, because I again just see a lot of myself in many parts of you. And again, I think that's one of many reasons why we've connected and why so many of us connect with each other, is that we see each other in ourselves, in each other's selves. So I just again want to thank you so much for being the vulnerable you that you always are with me and the listeners today, and just sharing, showing truly this was like, I don't know if you want to take this and splice it or whatnot, and we plop this up at the Empower Her event and be like, hey, this is the good to great story here. But I mean,
That'd be
truly,
awesome. I wouldn't have to speak.
I know, I feel like we just got a sneak preview of what that could look like. So it's truly an honor to be connected with you, to be able to call you a friend, and just to watch you continue to grow and evolve too is super neat, super cool. And I'm just so blessed for this connection and this conversation that we had today, Jess. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, of course, because I'm sometimes bad at doing this, can you please can you please share with me and the guests and the listeners, how can women connect with you? What would be the best ways for them to do that?
Of course. Yeah. You can come on over to Instagram. That's where I am the most. And that's at jess.clerke. You can also check out my podcast. It's called Selfish Confidence. It streams wherever you listen to your podcast. And you can check out my website, jessclerke.com. That's pretty easy. You can find me. Just type in Jess
Yes.
Clerke.
That's right. That is really important because we know there are a lot of Jesses.
The
We talked about
Jesses.
that earlier. Yeah, we got multiple Jesses out there. So just make sure that we're typing in the full name, Jess Clerke, so that we make sure you get to the right Jess.
Yeah, and it's Clerke with an E. Oftentimes people
Yes.
think it's Clark. It's not Clark, it's Clerke.
Nope, Clerke. Yes. I love it. Well, Jess, again, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure getting to chat with you today. I love you so much. And just thank you.
I love you too. Thanks so much, Kelly.
Absolutely.